Hello, little ones. Welcome back again to our Catechism for Kids series. Are you excited to meet today's saint? We've heard his story so many times, and I am sure you are familiar with him. Today, July 21st, is actually the feast day of Prophet Daniel. Yes, he is the same Daniel that got thrown into the lion's den. In Roman Catholic calendar, we celebrate his feast day on July 21st. However, this Old Testament figure is also honored on December 17th in some traditions and locations. Daniel was a young Jewish man. He lived in Jerusalem during a hard time. The city was taken by the king of Babylon. His name was Nebuchadnezzar. Many people were taken far away to live in Babylon. Daniel was one of them. He was taken because he was smart and strong. The king wanted young men like Daniel to work for him. Daniel and his friends were trained for this. They were taught the language and the ways of Babylon. The king even gave them new names. Daniel was given the name Belteshazzar. His three friends were called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But even in a new land, Daniel stayed faithful to the God of Israel. He obeyed God's laws. One of the first tests came with food. The king wanted them to eat his rich food and drink wine. But Daniel did not want to eat food that was against God's law. He asked for vegetables and water instead. The man in charge was afraid. He thought Daniel would grow weak. But Daniel said to test them for 10 days. After 10 days, they looked stronger than the others, so they were allowed to keep their special diet. God helped Daniel and his friends. He gave them wisdom and knowledge. Daniel also had the gift to understand dreams. This gift would soon be very important. Daniel and his friends were taken from their home. They stayed loyal to God. Even in a strange land, they lived with courage and faith. The king of Babylon had a dream. It troubled him. He wanted someone to tell him what it meant. He did not just ask for the meaning. He wanted someone to tell him the dream itself without hearing it first. No one could do it. The king became angry. He ordered all the wise men to be killed. That included Daniel and his friends. But Daniel prayed to God. God showed him the dream and its meaning. Daniel went to the king. He told him the dream. It was about a statue made of different metals. Daniel said the dream showed that many kingdoms would rise and fall, but in the end, God's kingdom would last forever. The king was amazed. He fell before Daniel and praised his God. Daniel was given great honor. He was made a ruler over much of the land. He also made sure his three friends had high positions. Later, another king had a strange dream. His name was Belshazzar. He saw a hand writing words on a wall. No one could read it, but Daniel was called in. He told the king the words meant that his rule was ending. That very night, the king died. Daniel served many kings. He was honest and wise. He never used his gifts for selfish reasons. He always gave credit to God. He did not seek power. But God placed him in high positions, even in the courts of mighty rulers. Daniel stayed humble. Daniel's friends faced trouble first. The king made a golden statue. He ordered everyone to bow down to it. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego would not bow. They would only worship God. The king was furious. He ordered them to be thrown into a fiery furnace. The fire was so hot it killed the men who threw them in. But the three friends were not hurt. A fourth figure appeared in the fire with them. The king saw this and was shocked. He called them out of the fire. They came out without burns. It didn't even smell like smoke. The king praised their God. He made a law that no one should speak against the God of Israel. Later, Daniel faced a test of his own. A new king ruled. His name was Darius. Some men were jealous of Daniel. He tricked the king into making a law. No one could pray to any god or person except the king for 30 days. Daniel still prayed to God. He opened his window and prayed 3 times a day. The men caught him and told the king. The king was sad. He liked Daniel, but he could not change the law. So Daniel was thrown into a den of lions. That night, the king could not sleep. In the morning, he rushed to the den, called out to Daniel. Daniel answered. God had shut the mouths of the lions. The king was joyful. He ordered Daniel to be lifted out, and he made a law to honor Daniel's God. The men who had plotted against Daniel were thrown to the lions. They did not survive. Daniel's courage came from his faith. He trusted God more than he feared kings or wild animals. As Daniel grew older, he began to see visions. These came to him in dreams. Some were hard to understand. They were about kingdoms, beasts, and what would happen in the future. Daniel saw 4 beasts coming out of the sea. Each beast stood for a kingdom. Then he saw someone like a son of man coming on the clouds. He was given glory and rule over all people. Christians see this as a sign pointing to Jesus. In another vision, Daniel saw a ram and a goat. This showed the rise and fall of kings. Daniel also saw a time of trouble, but he also saw hope. God would win in the end. Faithful would rise again. Sometimes Daniel did not understand the visions. He felt weak and afraid, but God sent angels to comfort him. One of them was the angel Gabriel. Daniel was told to seal up the words. They were meant for the future. He was not to worry. He had done his part. He was told to rest and wait for the end. Even though the visions were strange, Daniel stayed faithful. He kept praying, kept serving, did not stop trusting God. Daniel lived a long life. He saw many kings and many changes, but his faith never changed. Daniel was more than a dreamer. He was a man of prayer, prayed every day, even when it was dangerous. He fasted. He asked God to forgive his people, did not seek revenge. He asked for mercy, earned. He saw the sins of his people and asked God to help them return to him. Daniel was not a priest. He was not a prophet in the same way as Isaiah or Jeremiah, but God used him to speak truth in a foreign land. He is a model for all who live in places where faith is not welcome. He shows that it is possible to be faithful even in the middle of a culture that does not honor God. He was wise, but also kind. He had power, but he used it well. He was honest, even when it could cost him his life. Daniel points us to Jesus. Jesus also prayed, fasted, and obeyed God. Jesus spoke truth, even when it led to his death. Like Daniel, he was rescued not from the cross, but through the resurrection. The Roman martyrology honors Daniel on July 21st. Eastern churches also remember him on December 17th with the 3 youths. This shows that the church sees his life as a gift worth remembering. Daniel reminds us that faith is not just words. It is a way of life. It means trusting God no matter what. Daniel's story shows what it looks like to stay strong when everything around you is falling apart. He was taken from his home as a teenager and forced to live in a new land. He had to learn a new language and serve kings who didn't believe in his God. Still, Daniel stayed faithful. He kept praying, kept trusting God. He didn't change his beliefs just to fit in. Even when the law said he couldn't pray to God, Daniel kept praying 3 times a day, just like he always had. He wasn't trying to make a scene. He was just doing what he knew was right. Because of this, he got thrown into a den of lions. That could have been the end of the story, but God protected him. Daniel came out alive. His trust saved him. Daniel's life reminds us that faith is not just something we believe in our heads, something we do. It's how we live every day, even when it's not easy. Daniel didn't fight back. He didn't argue. He trusted. That kind of quiet courage is rare, and it matters. People saw Daniel's faith, and some of them came to believe in God because of it. We all face lions and life-hard choices, peer pressure, fear, and unfair treatment. Daniel shows us that we can face those things without giving up our values. We may not be in a real lion's den, but we can still choose to pray, to be honest, and to stay strong in what we believe. Okay, kids, that's all for this episode about Daniel. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel. Your supports are helping us a lot in our mission. Till next time, little ones, and remember, Jesus loves you. Bye-bye for now.